Okay, it kind of goes without saying that the marsh swamp area in Red Dead Redemption 2 is officially the creepiest area in the game. It's infested with alligators that will attack you out of nowhere, and their eyes kind of glow at night, and that's scary in itself. Then there's the night folk, they look like zombies and they don't say anything and they will kill you with one hit if they see you. As if the foggy atmosphere wasn't bad enough, on top of all of this, now there's a ghost lady. There appears to be a tragic story behind this one, so we're going to go over that. But just because for once this one's harmless doesn't mean that it's not creepy. So of course we need to head to Bluewater Marsh. Make a note of the location marked on this map because that is where we're going to be gravitating around. However, we're going to set up camp away from it because otherwise we might scare off this ghost. I don't think ghosts get scared or are aware of you. Either way, it might deter the ghost. I guess if ice cream can get scared, anything can. So our camp is a little trek away from this site of interest. So now that we're all settled and in the camp, we can actually head over to this location and take a look and see what's going on.
Home.
So night number 1 down, we haven't seen any ghosts, but we hear a woman in the woods somewhere. She's speaking to somebody that we can't hear, but we can't actually see her. Obviously this is the ghost lady, but she's yet to show herself. For the next 3 nights it was a similar story. I wouldn't be able to see her, but I could hear her. She was talking to somebody. From what I could gather, she was in love with somebody and her parents did not approve, and thus they took matters into their own hands to ruin that relationship, thus ruining this woman's life.
I always loved you.
In other news, I learned that if you shoot a toad with a sawn-off shotgun, it will explode.
Come back to me. Honest. He will too. I just know he will, Mother. I just know he will.
And now we have seen the ghost lady. Though we know that during life she had a tough run of love, we still don't know quite why she is haunting these swamps.
Mother, you can be so unkind. So very unkind. It ain't like that. It ain't like that at all.
After saying a few words every night, the ghost lady's spectral appearance will disappear. At the same rate, she won't gain a visible form every night. Just outside my camp, for every night that I stayed in this particular location, there was an alligator just chilling there. Of course, I didn't want to be eaten, so I decided to make friends with it and give it a name. So, hello dickhead, how are you doing?
Daddy, I forgave him. Why can't you? Daddy, no, put down the gun, please. Daddy, put down the gun. Do it for me. For your little girl.
So it appears as if this ghost lady's father in life threatened her love interest. And considering that she's now waltzing around in a bog as a ghost, we can imagine that this didn't end happily ever after for her. Though it feels as if this lady's been wronged by both parties here, both her father for not allowing her to do what she wants to do, and her partner because for some reason she needed to forgive him, as she said. So what's going on? I guess we'll have to find out by stalking this ghost a little more. Though before we continue, I think it's worth mentioning that there is a journal entry made about this ghost lady that simply reads, "I can't believe I am writing this, but there is something mighty strange in that swamp." Insert a shitty Shrek joke here. Of course, this little sentence is accompanied by a sketch of the ghost lady that we've seen.
But what am I to do? I gave you everything. Everything I had. No one will have me now. You said all them things.
So it appears as if the ghost is reliving a moment in which she got her heart broken or something along those lines. I'm not sure if the timeline in which you experience the ghost's memories are quite in order, but there you go, little bit of an insight. As the nights progressed, the encounters with this ghost became more and more sporadic. By that I mean sometimes she won't show up at all, other times you'll hear her voice, and sometimes you'll see her spectre.
All those pretty things. But that's all they were. Just pretty things.
That's the last I heard of her on that night, but Dickhead betrayed me. So I had to shift away from Dickhead and move camp elsewhere, but the hunt continues.
And this part of myself never loved me. You never loved me at all. And I thought he was a gentleman. Gentleman, indeed. You were just hillbilly white trash like my mama always said.
I feel as if this one confirms the aforementioned observations that this lady's been heartbroken. Either way, we know she experienced a lot of pain towards the end of her life because she's a ghost. That's kind of like the staple benchmark of being a ghost, isn't it? However, we're yet to find out why she haunts this specific area. For a few more nights I found nothing and didn't see or hear from this ghost lady at all.
Daddy, get out of my way! Daddy! Daddy, listen to him! Take your hands off of him!
For the last few nights the encounters were a little bit sparse because of the night folks activity in the area. Like, for some reason there are a couple of corpses pinned up to trees behind this area, so I'd imagine that would interfere a little bit somehow. And then there was the encounter of the weeping lady not too far away from here that happened to me. If you get that, it's nothing to do with this. Anyways, on this night the ghost recounts yet another instance in which her controlling father tried to dictate her love life. Like I said, the area is teeming with night folk and they're not friendly, so keep your wits about you. I decided on one night to go and investigate one of the locations where the ghost appeared, which was by an old dead tree. At the tree you can see a box and a noose hanging from a branch. Did this ghost commit suicide at this location?
Easy there.
He looks just like you. Just like you. I left them for you. I left everything.
Now, I have no idea what's going on here, but for a moment there it appeared as if she was talking to us. Now, there are a lot of instances where you can hear her speak, but she'll say the same stuff, and some nights she won't show up at all. But in the final encounter, you will be met by this.
Settle.
Hey, stranger. I know you've been watching me.
So in the final encounter it appears as if she talks to us directly. Now that's creepy if nothing else is. Also, her spectre is hanging from a tree, the exact tree we investigated before.
Come, meet me in the swamps by our tree.
This time she won't vanish if we get too close.
Come to our tree.
She appears to invite us to get closer.
I'll be waiting. I love you.
And finally, when we arrive, she vanishes completely. So it appears as if this is definitely where that woman died. However long ago, nobody knows. According to several sources, after this encounter, she will vanish completely and you will never see her again. On the ground below her body hung, you can find a lady slipper orchid. I have no idea if it's relevant or not, but I think it's worth mentioning. On to the questions that need answering here. We know how she died. We know tidbits of her story, but we still don't know who she was. All we know is that her love interest was not accepted by her parents, who at the same time were mentally abusing her, which drove her to suicide. We know that she was a young woman, and that she died during the period of the Old West. Now, you can actually find a gravestone of a young woman who committed suicide aged 19, an appropriate age for the ghost based on what we've seen. And this young woman's name was Agnes Dowd. Is she the spectre that we've been seeing? Her grave reads Agnes Dowd, aged 19, matches up, tragically took her own life, as did the spectre, and others on September the 4th, 1883. The time adds up, but she took others' lives? She went on a killing spree, what? The ghost didn't even hint at a killing spree, so it makes me think that this might not be the ghost of Agnes Dowd. But at the same rate, everything else matches up quite well. And Rockstar love to keep things consistent, as Red Dead Redemption 2 has shown us in every other way. So I won't rule out the possibility that this ghost could be this Agnes character. Now, glancing over videos already posted on the topic, a lot of people seem to believe that this ghost is the ghost of Agnes Dowd.
Well, it's time for Detective Fizhy to go to work.
This grave is located at Shady Bell, the camp location for Chapter 4. It's an old abandoned mansion that could have been abandoned for about a decade or so. It's quite a trek from the swamp, but it isn't stupidly far away. In fact, its distance makes sense considering the ghost was in a forbidden love affair, and that tree that they met under where the ghost killed herself was probably a rendezvous point, which is away from prying eyes. The swamp seems like the perfect location. Also, the mansion implies that the household that lived there were in fact rich. The parents could afford to be disapproving of, say, white trash hillbilly scum. To top it all off, while the camp stays in this location, Reverend Swanson can be heard saying this.
There's ghosts in the swamp. Ghosts. I saw them.
There's ghosts in your head, Reverend.
Ghosts. Ghost. I saw a ghost. A young woman.
You've lost your mind. You poor bastard.
You all right, Reverend? I know what I saw. A girl. A ghost of a girl in white. Okay.
Now, whose description does that match? And whose grave is in the location in which the Reverend is rambling this? So here's the theory. Agnes Dowd was in a forbidden relationship of which her parents did not approve. They were quite mentally abusive and Agnes Dowd's mental condition was questionable. Agnes's lover was not 100% faithful, thus breaking Agnes's heart. She and her lover would rendezvous in the swamp under that tree, away from the prying eyes of Agnes's disapproving parents. One day it all got too much for Agnes and she killed her family and then left for the swamp, calling to her partner to find her under the tree where they would rendezvous. Once there, Agnes would exact her final revenge on her unfaithful lover by committing suicide and leaving him to find the body. Except that day never came and she was left to haunt the bayou for the next 2 decades. Until you, the player, either Arthur Morgan or John Marston, come along, and you look quite similar to Agnes's lover. I'd imagine that that's the correlation there. As Agnes states herself, you look just like him. Eventually, Agnes displays herself hanged from the tree as a ghost with the intent of tormenting her lover, or in this case, her lover's lookalike, exacting her revenge and putting her spirit at rest, hence why you never see her again. And in my mind, that is the story behind the ghost lady of Bluewater Marsh. Now, if there's one thing to take away from the video, it's that the bayou is a scary place, filled with the tormented spirits of the dead and the evil of the living. And frankly, if I don't have to return there ever again, whether to make a video or anything, I will be quite a happy man. But anyways, thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed. Be sure to go ahead, leave a like, subscribe, share. Let me know what you think. Do you have an alternative theory? Do you like my theory? Let me know down in the comments. Be sure to go ahead and follow me on Twitter as well. I would really appreciate that. And I will see you all very soon with another video at some point. But for now, I'm getting the fuck out of this swamp.